evening and welcome along to this edition of SportsView on LearMedia.tv, and our usual email routines. If you want to make a comment into the show, it's there on the screen. Email info@LearMedia.tv. Press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. Don't be afraid to tell all your friends about us as well. Good evening, Martin, and welcome along.
Good evening, Pat.
Now, we have a few more joining us later on in the show, and I think one or two might have problems coming in. I cannot do anything that's far from where I am sitting. I can't do anything about it, I suppose, Martin, since you're cycling, we're going to start with cycling because, obviously you have an interest in it. Of course, you were around the terrain recently around France,
Yes.
You got what let's say the atmosphere of cycling. Cycling is still popular in France, is it?
Hugely popular. And when we were in Lourdes, there was actually three cycling teams staying in the hotel in which we stayed, and they were actually doing a kind of a recce of the actual stage, which is taking place in, I think, the third week of the Tour de France, where they go from Lourdes to I think it could be a time trial, where they go from Lourdes to the top of a climb called the Hautocam. So it's basically start in Lourdes in the valley and climb all the way to the top of this climb, called the Hautocam. It's a very famous climb on Tour de France routes, and they were actually practicing and I suppose getting their strategy together for the tour. So there was 3 team buses in our hotel, all parked up outside. And we went down to one of the team buses and they gave us out some merchandise and stuff like that from the team.
That's great.
And we got a few pictures taken and things like that.
That's fantastic.
So it was good to see the team bus in the flesh. Obviously, it had the best of gear. Each cyclist has his own individual area on the team bus, so they can stretch out their legs and relax after a stage. They have a kitchen in there. They have shower facilities. They have a bathroom. They have in tradition, which would be the luggage area. They have washing machines, dryers, things like that, so that they can wash the kit no matter where they go and have it refreshed for the following day's racing.
So it's not just the bus. It's a moving house on wheels. Nearly.
Exactly. They do everything bar sleep in it, So
you see, we wouldn't. In France, obviously, I'll tell you this, man. In France, Belgium, Netherlands, and Italy, there'd be hotbeds of cycling, and there'd be huge tradition of cycling in those countries anyway. So we wouldn't have the same appreciation of it here, except obviously in the 80s when we had the Nissan Classic at the Tour of Ireland, that when Kelly and Martin and what's his name? Stephen Roach learned their pump. They attracted a lot of the top cyclists to come over here. I was at 2 of the Nissan Classics myself, So it was really a golden era for Irish cycling that time, But anyway, there's still excitement about the Tour de France. It's beginning next weekend, as we were saying, Martin, over in Copenhagen, in Denmark. And it's a month-long, I suppose, spectacle. That's the word I wanted to use.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of support. There's still a lot of sponsorship. There's still a lot of money in the sport, isn't there?
There is, but not as, I suppose, as much as kind of other sports. But it has a reputation of being, I suppose, a sport where the use of performance-enhancing drugs was rampant. So it has had kind of a period where it's been trying to clean up its act, and I suppose in recent years, there seems to be more credibility within the sport, which is good to see. When you can see riders from Ireland and Europe competing, and it seems to be that the general classification in most of the actual tours, the gaps are quite small. So if you go back to the Lance Armstrong area, he was winning the Tour de France by 4 or 5 minutes. There was a huge gap between first and second. There was some years where it may have been 3, but generally it was 3 minutes or more. Nowadays, those gaps are decreasing dramatically. And I think in the last tour, which was the Giro Italia, going into the last weekend, I think there was only 2 to 3 seconds between first and second. And it was on the second last day where the guy in second managed to just break the guy in first and maybe pull a minute out of him. But that was just through pure and utter fatigue.
Absolutely.
You know, when you can see that happening when the top 2 guys or 3 guys are going toe to toe for 3 weeks, you can just kind of say, okay, look, this has a degree of more credibility than it's had in the past. And I'd expect something similar this year. Pogacar, who is the current Tour de France champion, is probably favourite to win it again. But you have a very strong team in which Primož Roglič and Jonas Vingegaard are the 2 top riders there, I think it is. So I think it could be very close again this year. And hopefully that's the case, because the last thing we need is for one of the favourites to, either crash, which can easily happen. And when that happens, then it becomes maybe kind of like a one-horse race,
I know.
And hope that they can all stay upright.
Yeah. And as you said, that's one of the vagaries of professional bike racing, of course, as anything that somebody can run up on the road, as we saw many times in many stages, and finish them. And of course, the man from Wales who won in the fields is in the field, former winner, Thomas, is it?
So Geraint Thomas is in the he's with Team Ineos, which used to be called Team Sky. And Team Ineos, I suppose he and a guy called Daniel Martinez, I think it is, will be the 2 top riders in that team. I think Thomas is something like 14 to 1, which is, is a big price, really, when you consider Pogacar is like a 4 to 6 favourite to win it.
Really? Is he that short?
He is, and Roglic would be probably 3 or 4 to 1. So, like Pogacar is kind of like the new, he's the new kid on the block. He's got a phenomenal record, and he can compete across a range of disciplines in cycling. He's not just a climber. He can compete in one-day races and things like that. So he's got many strings to his bow, I suppose. So he's the hot favourite for it. But, Thomas is in a team that prides itself on the team rather than the individual. So it would be interesting to see how he gets on. But I personally can't see how Pogacar or Roglic are going to not win it, bar they experience issues on the road, such as crashes.
Well, you heard it here on SportsView, lads. There's Martin's prediction of for it. You can go along there and put your 50p there on the tune in, and we take 10%. All right, Martin. But I suppose, I remember going to Bantier Sports on the old cinder track, the old cycling cinder track. It was very famous for cycling, with my mum and dad. That's not today and yesterday. And of course, our first awakening of cycling in Ireland was hearing about the wonderful Eddie Merckx. And we're hoping to get someone in on Friday night on the show. We're going to have, by the way, for people who are watching the show, SportsView, we'll be going out now Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But the Friday night we'll be concentrating on famous biographies and autobiographies of sports people across the board. So we'll have people in talking about the book and 1 or 2 books each Friday night. So join in that, you know what to do. Of course, Eddie Merckx was, of course, he wasn't without controversy, Martin himself. I was reading about him,
Yeah.
He was disqualified a few times,
Yeah, I suppose he's before my time. So I suppose the earliest I remember is guys like Greg LeMond, Sean Kelly, Stephen Roach, kind of the guys that came after Bernardino.
Bernardino. Oh yeah. That's the 80s. You're talking about the 80s, isn't it? Yeah. Of course, Merckx is 77, as we see. That's his age. 77 years of age. Of course, he's from Belgium, as we know. We're talking about the Tour de France, which is starting next weekend. No doubt, Eurosport covers it in wall-to-wall coverage on Eurosport for our recycling people there,
Yeah.
And press the red button on the right-hand side if you want to subscribe to our channel and tell all your friends about us. So with Martin Morris and myself, we're waiting for 1 or 2 more people to come in. They may leave the 19th hole now and come in very soon. Now, Martin, Paddy Harrington won another major over the weekend. Now I'll tell you, at one stage he was, I think, 10 or 11 shots ahead.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what was it after round 3 where was he leading by, was it 5 or 6? He was
Yeah,
leading, and
he
next
was
thing there
6
was a
shots
charge.
ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So there
he,
was
wa- he was 6 shots ahead. And then what happened was, what was I going to say? He was 6 shots ahead. Then, what's his name? Steve Stricker
yeah,
shot a 65, you know? He shot a 65, Steve Stricker. And of
yeah,
course, that put pressure on Harrington then, you know?
yeah. And
Without a shadow of a doubt, you know?
Stricker, of course, was the captain of the Ryder Cup team that
Yeah,
beat Harrington, who was captain of the European team at the last Ryder Cup. So
yeah.
there was a bit of a return to the two old warriors battling it out this time as players.
And they were saying on the commentary, I was interested to listen because I'm not a golfing expert, but Pádraig is 50, he's just 50 now, Pádraig
Mm,
Harrington. They were saying the time to win the major in the seniors is between 50 and 54, 55. That's the people will be the strongest then. And what they mean by that is, if you go into the rough or anything, you'll have the
mm,
power and the strength to get it out properly, and get distance and thing. And that's what they're
mm.
saying anyway. So Parry could win a couple of majors because he has the game, Parry Hampton. But
Yeah,
he was always very friendly and very approachable. I mean, we went down to see him in the Irish Open in Fort Island, and my son and my grandson, and they were standing at
yeah.
his drive went way out to the left near the trees, if anybody knows Fort Island, and we were at where the barrier was, and Dylan was there with myself, and Paulie came over, and Dylan held out his hand, and
Mm,
Harrington gave him a high five, and he take his second shot, things
yeah.
like that, things like that would make everything fantastic, But anyway, that
Yeah.
was our Paulie Harrington. It was great to see him winning, He
Oh, it's
had
brilliant to see
what's
him
the
back in the winners' enclosure, 100%.
yeah, he had what's I'm looking here now. I think I wrote it down. Pádraig anyway won the Steelers Open. I forget. I don't think I took down his I don't think I took down his score, did I? I
He
did,
finished on
yeah.
10 under. Yeah, 10 under he
Yeah,
finished on.
he did, yeah.
Yeah.
He had a 64 or 69.
Mm.
No, I forget the one power. Anyway, I don't know.
He
Anyway, he
finished he
won that.
finished on I think he finished with a 72, did he?
He
Um,
did.
yeah,
He did. And
yeah,
the Travelers Championship, McIlroy was leading that after they won
yes,
it. But
yeah,
again,
mm,
McIlroy finished at 9 under with a 62, a 70, a 72, and a 67. Pretty mixed,
mm,
that's the way McIlroy. But Schauffele won it with two 63s, a
mm,
67, and a 68. I just
yeah,
wonder. And Seamus Power had a good finish. He finished at -8. I mean, when you consider Power 67,
yeah,
67 and 270s. Ordinarily, in some competitions, that'd be enough to win a competition,
mm.
But some of the courses, I don't know about them. Then you
But
have the
like,
ladies' lane.
yeah,
Yeah, go on.
but like in last night's tournament, the like Schauffele was on 18 and he was 18 under par. Ahead of him was a guy called I think it's pronounced, is it Tigala? Um,
Tigal, yeah,
yeah, so he played 17 and his tee shot landed in a divot. He played out of the divot and put it to about 15 foot, and he sunk the putt to go to 19 under, going down the last. So he had a one shot lead going down the last. He hit driver, and whatever it was, the adrenaline of that putt, there's only one place you shouldn't put it, and he put it there to the bunker on the left that had a massive lip, and he put it right up against the lip.
oh, sure,
Now,
jeez,
as the commentator said, like for his next shot, he should have taken his medicine and just chipped out to the side and play to try and either par or bogey. Instead,
yeah,
he
tough
tried to
one.
play. Instead he tried to play the shot, play a miracle shot, which it hit the lip again. So he was playing his third from the bunker, and he had a putt for a bogey that he missed. So he ended up having a double bogey on the last, and went back to 17 under. Schauffele went down the last and birdied us to go to 19 under. So there was
Yeah,
a huge swing in one hole.
He's a good golfer, the shuffler and thing. And the ladies' PGA was on the weekend. Lexi Thompson, I see she got a fine today for slow play. I don't know if she's the only one. I mean, to pick out, I don't know. Look, I like Lexi Thompson. She's a great attitude. And she finished runner up to Chen from Korea, who won at -5, 64, 69, 75. Leona Maguire had a disastrous PGA.
Mm.
74, 72, 77, and 74. She made no impression. But for her, the fact that she qualified and stayed for the whole weekend, she's up to 17 in the world rankings.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which really is astonishing when it's our first full year on tour. You know, and think about it. So let's not be too harsh, but she'll have better days ahead. You know, the BMW International was won by the Chinese chap. That Chinese golfer a couple of years ago was going well. Do you remember in the British Open?
Okay.
I don't remember him, Lee, and he had won. It started raining and wind, you know, it was a links course, and
Yeah.
he disappeared into the pack, never
Oh,
again to be seen, you know,
yeah.
as it happens days, you know.
Yeah.
But he was going well. Carney, young Carney from Ireland, now Carney, he finished at 13 under, so he had a top 15 finish in the BMW. It's good for him, good payday, 77. 68, 66, and 69. So that was good if you could get. So yeah, Matt Morris and myself on the show tonight, lads, and SportsView is the program, and tell all your friends about us. Press the red button on the right hand side. The information is up there now coming on. Thanks to Nearly for the strip line. I didn't know how to do that, but I'll tell you, there's always someone who knows more than me. I'm very surprised at that, but however, we'll have to accept that in life, Martin. You know,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
always someone who.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we
No
had
one's exempt.
we had we had the quarterfinals of the Sam Maguire, our Gaelic football matches over the weekend. I was down in Mallow, minding my dad on Saturday, and we watched two matches, if you could call them that, between Derry and Clare and Cork and Dublin. And really and truly, I mean, both Cork and Clare, with all due respect to the effort put in, they don't belong in that company at all yet, in my opinion. You know, they really are seriously deficient. It's a big fall for Cork, not because I'm from Cork, for the size of the county, for the amount of clubs they have. Nobody, man, can tell me that they're the 15 best Cork footballers in County Cork. Because if they are, we're in more trouble than what I think we are.
Yeah. I suppose, look, nobody expected them to get a result in Croke Park
No,
against Dublin. Now, in
no.
fairness to them, I thought they put up a real good performance in the first half. And I suppose they should have finished the first half closer to Dublin. They had some, they scored quite a lot of good points from play, but they missed some really kind of like easy frees, which was a pity.
Yeah.
But the second half, I'm not sure of the exact number now, but I think it was like at least 10 to 15 minutes before they registered the score in the second half.
It was.
So they kind of did fade out of the game, and I suppose
It was
for them,
10
it was similar
points
to
to 7.
similar to the Kerry match where they did start well as well, and then they faded when Kerry made a couple of tactical changes and brought David Moore on and stuff like that. So
Well,
they
I
had a lot
mean,
of work to do.
they have a ferocious amount of work. The positive side from Cork, they have a reasonable success in the underage, both in under 20 hurling and under 20 football. So they have, if they can keep them interested, that's the thing I suppose, Martin, as well, to keep young lads interested.
Yeah.
When there's a gap between under 20 and senior, you have to keep them interested. And if you're not making a fist of it, you can lose them,
Yeah.
Now, Limerick turned a lot of that underage success, as we know, into the senior. So they have a panel of 35, 40 players, and that's where you need to be. That's where you need to be. You need to have two teams competing at a level. I'm afraid that's the level that colleges will have to aspire to if they want to be competitive. But there were two very disappointing matches, both the Clare Derry match and the Dublin Cork match. Cork only got, I don't know, 4 or 5 points in the second half or something like that. I don't know, something like that. 4 points or something. 2 of them from frees and 2 from play in the whole 40 minutes of seeing the football. Really shocking stuff, all right. Anyway, Dublin were through. Then yesterday, of course, we called it here the night. I fancied Armagh to beat Galway. we always thought that was going to be the tight match. We
Yeah.
didn't think Mayo would be good enough at all for Kerry because that team is gone. Anyway, it's been gone for a while. They're
Mm.
gone now. Of course, Horn has stepped down as manager.
Yeah.
He,
He just
you
stepped up.
know, he must be congratulated, I suppose, to Mooney now because
Yeah.
you know it's not an easy job, and the expectation in the county
Mm. I do feel
really.
there's a lot of pressure on. There was a lot of pressure on him. I'm not sure whether the pressure is coming from the county board or coming from the players, but it seems to me, looking from the outside in, that certain players, no matter how they performed, will always start.
You
So
have that. You
that's
have that
a
in.
tough one for a manager.
Well, you have that in the Cork Hurlers.
Mm.
You know, you 4 or 5 players, as the man said to me.
Yeah.
My dad said it, it's very hard to get off the Cork team.
Yeah.
Very hard to get off it, you know. But
Yeah.
you have that. You had some of that. Now I can see why he's been with some of these from minor, under
Mm.
21, and up to senior. He's been with them soldiering around the country. He knows their character.
Mm.
And I think he did the decent thing and stepped down. And it's a thankless job. Well, win, lose, or draw, it's a thankless job. Kerry did enough. Kerry wasn't spectacular. They didn't have to be. They did
No.
enough to win. And
Yeah.
Derry just hockey Clare, you know. They beat Clare in the
Mm.
league up in Innis by 9 points in the league
Yeah.
earlier on in the year. So
Yeah.
they had the number, and Clare did well to get to the quarterfinals the last 8. So they're in the semi next year again.
Yeah.
Now, what
What
was I
is
going to say?
refreshing though is to see the fact that we have, I suppose, the potential now of having, I suppose, somebody that hasn't been in the last two of an All Ireland final in a number of years when Galway play Derry in the
Yeah,
semi final. So that is very refreshing. I'm not sure when the last time Galway was in an All Ireland final was. I can't remember the last time they actually won one. Was it 2001 or something like that, or
yeah. They
um,
won it in They won it in '98 and 2001. The
98,
first match,
2001? Yeah,
98 and 2001, and they
yeah,
were in a semi-final in 2004. I think that's it. Then that's their lot
yeah.
after that. But
And
they
Derry
always,
were going back to Joe Broddy's days, I'd say.
yeah, '93, yeah,
Mm,
'93, yeah, come
yeah,
back '92.
yeah,
We had Galway. I think Galway. It's They have a solid enough team. I think they have a solid team. I think they will. I think they'll give Derry plenty of. There's no way Derry are going to score 5 goals against Galway.
Well, if Galway defends the way they defended for the last 5 minutes of that match, then like if I was Derry, I'd be watching that over and over again to see how our man managed to score those goals. Now, two of them were essentially dipped, I suppose, just under the crossbar, and for some reason, the goalkeeper punched them out. Now, when you have a 6 point lead, would you not just tip it over the bar and concede a
Yeah,
point?
concede the point.
Do you know? So I found that kind of remarkable. That he not only did he do it once, but he did it twice. And for the other goal, he tried to punch it out to a guy almost in the square. And sure, look, he didn't, and it was buried by an incoming Armagh player. So there were three, like you don't know whether it was panic by the whole defense, panic by the goalkeeper, but they need to sort that out before they play Derry because they will concede goals if they don't. And
No,
in fairness, they're not going to like. If you look at what Galway did, they had to work really hard for their scores. And in fact, they scored so many points from kind of like between the 45 and the 21. A lot of long range scores, which, on another day, they go wide. So I think if Galway can shore it up a bit at the back, they have a great opportunity to get through to the final. But whether they'll
I
be
mean
able to match the work rate of Derry is the thing.
it is, and they're a fit, physical,
Mm,
athletic team, and really, it's a pity that Derry and Galway are meeting in a semi-final. I know we say this all the time. To be fitting for them to meet in a final, it'd be great.
yeah,
But the way the cookie crumbled, Kerry are meeting Dublin yet again in the other semi-final.
yeah.
I fancy Kerry. I fancy Kerry for that. I think there's something amiss in Dublin. I don't know, Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, look, Dublin have been around the block a while now, and you've a lot of the same faces. So whether they can rally it for another crack, it's hard to know. I think they could. Like Kerry have yet to be tested. What have they beat? Who have they beaten? They've played Cork, Limerick, and Mayo. In fairness,
Yeah.
like that's not great preparation for an All-Ireland semi-final. Now you could say on the other hand, who have Dublin played?
Well,
Dublin have played
they
Meath,
beat, yeah,
Kildare. You know,
they beat
they've
a
played
decent
nobody.
Kildare team, I suppose.
Yeah, I
But
suppose decent enough. Yeah,
yeah, but really, as you said, Kerry and Dublin will probably be the match of the semi-final. The two of them I'm looking forward to. I still, I'd love to see Kerry. Well, it could be Kerry Galway final. I
yeah,
don't know that. As we're on GA matters, Martin, I haven't done on the floor, but anyway, we have two semi-finals of the hurling coming up next weekend, and we have is it Clare and Kilkenny on the Saturday, isn't it?
at 5:30. Yeah,
That's an unusual time, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, and it's like and you've Limerick and Galway on Sunday at 3:30, which is kind of the traditional time for semi-final. Um, Clare and Galway. I was just looking at the betting there. Clare 4-5 favourites. Clare and Kilkenny. Clare 4-5 favourites. Kilkenny are 11-8. So in reality, the bookies don't see much there between them. Limerick and Galway. Limerick are 1-4, and Galway are 4-1. So they think that's a bit more clear cut. But the other semi final looks really tight.
Well,
Um,
obviously on form you would have to make Limerick favourites, but as we know, they only beat Galway by a point in the 2018 match. Do you remember?
yeah, and it was
Joe,
very close
Joe,
in the 2020 semi final as well,
Joe,
which was
Joe
played.
Canning nearly beat
Yeah,
Joe Canning nearly beat Limerick on his own that day. Although he did beat a lot of teams on his own, in fairness to the man.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
incredible. I mean, they were coasting at once. They're under 7 points up, were they? 6 or 7?
yeah, yeah,
In 2018 now I'm talking about, is it?
yeah.
Yeah.
2018. Yeah,
They won by the point. It doesn't matter how much you win by, of course, once you win.
exactly.
That's the record. You're all Ireland champions.
Mm.
I think, I don't know. I hope it'll be a good match between Limerick and Galway. I hope it'll be a competitive match. It has the potential to be one-sided. We know. Well, every time Limerick are going out to play, you say that, all right. But
Yeah. I was
they
at the
are.
league match. I know people discount the league and stuff like that, but I was at the league match where Limerick did play Galway, and Galway gave them a right going over. When they and I'd wonder. I'm not sure what the fitness is of the Galway centre back who went off against Cork McInerney,
Yeah.
but it could be a blessing in disguise if he's not actually playing because he's not the most mobile centre back. So Galway could actually that could fall in their favour if he's not playing. That they play another player in the centre back position that's a bit more mobile and a bit more maybe move up the field a bit more. So I wouldn't discount Galway at all because I've seen them in action now, and like they played a very direct brand of hurling against Limerick in the Gaelic grounds in the league, and it paid off for them. Now Limerick did have a man sent off, so. And Limerick would say that they were training hard during the league. So,
Yeah.
and they only won one game, which was against Offaly. So, look, I don't know
They,
what.
they won. Well, they
Yeah,
won. They won the game that mattered.
yeah, and they drew with Clare. So, yeah,
Really.
um, yeah,
They've done a lot since, and sometimes a team can just run out of pep.
mm,
They're on the road for 4 or 5 years, some of those 6 years. They're young. They have a lot of hurling played. They have a lot of hurling in their legs. Sometimes a team can run out of pep, but I don't think Kylie will allow that to happen because one thing about Kylie I like is he will make changes. It doesn't matter who you are, whether
yeah,
you have 5 All-Stars and 5 All-Ireland medals. If you're not doing that and you're off.
yeah,
The other guy is on.
mm,
And Keane Lynch is a big loss.
he is.
He's a playmaker between the midfield and the forwards. He's the link man between the whole lot. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, he won't be playing. He won't be playing the semi-final by the look
no,
of it. I don't think he will.
no,
But on form, you'd have to fancy Limerick because Galway haven't shown anything yet. But then again, as you said, you don't know. I mean, Shefflin is around the block a long time. Shefflin himself.
mm,
So he
yeah,
knows what he should know. He knows what he has now. He
mm,
knows what he has, and there's good potential in the Galway team right now. The other semi-final then is between Clare and Kilkenny. Obviously, Kilkenny with Cody there since '99. You know.
Yeah. And these guys have been beaten in the last two semi-finals. So they were beaten by Cork in extra time last year, and the previous
I was
year they were caught in
I
the
was
hop.
above. Yeah, I was above at that match,
Mm,
and Cork. I would say it, of course. Cork got caught. Cork should have won that in normal time.
mm,
Tim O'Mahony, instead of clearing the ball, he went to solo out of the ball, you know, Tim,
yeah,
and as you saw the thing. And Jesus, your man just came in and grabbed it and put it in the net. Like, I had my coat on to go away. I said, you faker, you faker. I
yeah,
said, I mean, any junior hurler would put it up in the Hogan Stand's
yeah,
roof, you know, and get
mm,
out of there.
yeah,
Bang, and that was it. But I think the legs caught the youth caught Kilkenny that day in
yeah,
the extra time, you know.
yeah,
Cork Ireland that day, you know. It was a blessing in disguise for Kilkenny to meet Limerick in the final, you know.
yeah.
They look, they think they're better than what they are. You know? I still think, not because I'm living there, I think Clare will beat them.
Well, Clare have a lot of youth in their side. So, and I suppose in the Limerick match, in the Munster final, in the Limerick match, I felt that the difference on the day between the teams was actually the bench, where the Limerick bench came on and made a good impact on the game towards the
Yeah.
end of the match and into extra time, whilst the Clare bench did not make as much of an impact as the Limerick bench. Now, if you go to the Wexford game, then the Clare bench made a huge impact and actually
Yeah, what
won the
they
game.
did,
Won the
they
game
did.
for them, you know. So
Young
it's
Shanahan from Shannon came on there and they got a goal and
yeah,
2 points.
yeah, you know. So
Brilliant.
Clare may need to rely on that bench again come Saturday evening when the game could be down to the wire with 10 minutes to go, and those legs might be the legs that pull them
Now, of
into the
course,
final.
you don't think it'll be a Clare Galway final anyway, obviously, you know.
It would be a big shock if it was a Galway Clare final. I think everyone is saying, all the pundits are saying Limerick and Clare, but I wouldn't discount Kilkenny in a million years. I
No,
think they're coming
no.
into this fresh. They're coming into this with it's kind of
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
last hurrah for a lot of players. It's their, it's Cody's. Could it be his last hurrah? Like you can be
Yeah.
guaranteed, like they're going to throw the kitchen sink at it.
Mm.
Um, so I wouldn't discount them at all.
Now, before we leave GA, we cannot leave GA without. I don't know, did you see it on television? Now, I was watching it myself with my dad in Mallow, the Armagh Galway match,
Yeah,
and the punch up
yeah,
on the sideline before they went down the tunnel. I I don't know myself. Um, what was that all about? Tensions were
I've no,
high. There
yeah,
was a lot of no. I didn't realise that the referee had given out one or two cards for sledging.
mm,
I was reading that somewhere today. Now, obviously, we can't see everything on television.
yeah,
Now, in another match, I won't mention it because I have to check it out. There was a player spat at another player. I don't know is it going to be picked up yet. I don't know that either. These
mm,
are not acceptable when you have families, families, not because there's families, but families at the matches, people
yeah,
who paid huge amounts of money, an awful lot of money to drive there, to go there,
mm.
and you have I mean, surely there has to be some way of leading a team off in front of the other.
Yeah, and there has to be severe penalties like for this type of this kind of carry on, because otherwise it's not going to stop. And
No.
like we have had incidents like if you recall, I think it was so it was behind, like essentially behind closed doors. It was over COVID, where there was no crowd really apart from relatives or family type scenarios at one of the
Yeah.
actual club All Irelands, where was it? It might have been 2019. I'm trying to think, where a team from Down and a team from Galway were in the final, and there was a full-on, punching match going down the tunnel at a club All Ireland final.
Yeah.
So that's not too long ago, and there was no crowd at the game, so it wasn't as if it was cited by a kind of a hostile or a kind of the players got caught in the occasion.
Mm.
There was
Well,
nobody there, and yet it happened.
Well,
both
you're
sets
right,
of teams
Martin.
going down the same tunnel.
And there's plenty photographic evidence
Yeah,
of what's going on.
yeah,
We're not casting aspersions. One
mm,
team has formed,
mm,
and really in this, there have been 3 or 4 instances with that same team. I'm not exonerating Galway or Armagh for
mm,
what went on. But as you said, the problem is, looking at the rule book, when you say severe sanctions, there's a player caught, young Comer, by the face, by the 2 eyes, with
mm,
his hand up, caught him by the 2 eyes. Now that person will have to get a lifetime ban from all GA matches,
mm, yeah.
interfering with the player. Is that what you mean by a severe
Well,
sanction?
there has to be sanctions, though. Like sometimes it has to go beyond just the player. You know, like surely the team or the the county team or whatever, the county itself have to be reprimanded or punished. It just can't be an individual, because there has to be some sort of a culture within the game where this is not acceptable, and punishing a player, you know sometimes that's just an easy way out. Like,
That's true. And now, of course, Martin, the point about it is this: there's another thing to be borne in mind. I'm not saying Armagh won't mind. Armagh are out of the championship.
mm,
So suspending 5 or 6 or 7 players from Armagh will make no
yeah,
blind bit of difference to them.
that's all.
Suspending 2 or 3 players from Galway who have
Mm,
a semi-final to play against Derry,
yeah,
that would not be proportional. I'm not trying to make a
yeah,
case
yeah,
to mitigate against anything, but really, I think there should be nothing done
mm,
until the championship is finished.
yeah,
That's my
yeah,
opinion, because you will have a disproportionate penalty on the team that's left in the competition. Okay,
mm,
they might say, well, they should have thought of that, but really, I think you cannot have that either. That's the
yeah.
way I'm
But
thinking
like,
about
Pat,
it.
if you look at other sports, if you look at soccer, Premier League soccer, or any type of soccer, like both teams go down, come out the dugout, come out the tunnel, and go down the tunnel at half time and at full time.
They
And
do.
there rarely is a scenario where there's issues. Now, I can recall of one recently where Manchester City played Atletico Madrid, where there was a bit of an issue going down the tunnel between two particular players. It was kind of like a carry on from a situation that happened on the pitch.
Yeah,
But there's very few other scenarios I can recall where that has happened. In
of
rugby,
course.
in general, you get, at half time, both sets of teams come off and go down. Uh, and at the end of a match, one team applauds the other team going off, and the other team applaud that team. So both teams applaud each other as they leave the
True.
field.
Yeah, of course, I can think of Patrick Vieira and our friend from Cork,
Well,
Roy
that was like, I
Keys.
suppose that was something that kind of happened. Um, that
I
was
just
carried
love
forward from
that.
a previous. Yeah, that was, yeah, exactly. But when you think of it, there hasn't been many.
No, we're talking about, as you said, rightly so, man. We're speaking about unusual
Mm,
events, not regular events,
yeah,
unusual events happening. And I think that, I think the referee in rugby is way, way, way too intrusive. Way too
mm,
intrusive, in my opinion. It's
mm.
destroy the game. I mean, really, he's in the way of play half the time. You know.
Yeah, but like like within the GA, we have to ensure that the culture of the game dictates that this type of behavior, where like it could be your son, your whatever, that
Yeah,
he could be there could be a scenario where for no reason whatsoever he's going to get a clout across the back of the head as he leaves the pitch. For what? And it's just not right. um
and
and,
I
and of
agree with
course
you.
they won't do anything until something more serious happens.
Well,
Well,
there's 3 referees at those matches, and there's 7 officials, including 3 referees and 4 umpires.
mm, yeah,
They should be all consulted widely, and then of course
mm,
watch the footage, because it was televised live.
yeah,
Watch the footage.
yeah,
They were very what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't see all the Sunday game, but they were very careful in their pronunciation. I mean, it was ridiculous having an Armagh man expected to comment on his team. Like, really, it was
yeah,
unfair to Oisin O'Connell. It was
yeah,
unfair. I'm not saying he's his own man, of course, but that's unfair. You can't be putting like, you wouldn't do it to your own team, even though you
Mm,
would be fuming over it. And it's unfair. I don't know why they can't have neutral. Are they shocked at people coming on television? I don't know why they can't. I mean, you have
yeah,
Cock playing, you have Donald Cusick expected to do an appraisal of Cock Hurler. So, I mean, he played for some of those players.
yeah,
You
yeah,
have Shane Downing
yeah,
holding fort over Limerick. He's not
yeah,
long out of the game. He
mm,
knows more.
yeah.
I mean, it's farcical, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
well, maybe they should have those guys on, kind of analyzing games that don't involve their own county, maybe,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
keep it that way. I'm not sure what the logic is there. It's kind of a tradition, maybe. Um, so yeah, maybe that needs to change. But um,
You
you
have
know that
also, yeah, that's right. We were talking about no. Anyway, final word on the G. I think my own personal opinion, these are only our own personal opinions, is that there should be nothing done until the championship is over. You know, with
yeah,
this. You know, I think that we're looking forward to probably Limerick, and you're saying Kilkenny. I'll say Limerick and Clare again. My God, part two.
part
They should
three.
play it in Thurles. Play it in Thurles, 9 o'clock hour. Put a
Yeah,
big, put a big, put a big screen in the Gaelic grounds. Ireland are down in New Zealand, um, Martin. They'll
yeah,
be playing. All the matches are on television at 8:05 a.m. in the morning. So if you want to go somewhere for breakfast, I'm sure there'll be people facilitating that. I know the Oakwood Arms did it in Shannon a few years ago, and we're all down there for breakfast. I think
yeah,
when people got too scooped into them, they didn't know who was playing by half time. But anyway, that's their own business.
yeah.
But really, what is the coach expecting to learn, if anything, in the run up to the World Cup next year?
Yeah, like I always wonder about these tours. It would be different if we were sending a kind of a squad where there's guys there that are looking to get caps and get experience, and but we seem to be sending the same old faces out to battle all the time,
Yeah,
and guys really that have nothing to prove, because
no,
they've proven it. They've proven what they are. They've proven how good they are,
and so
and
and they'll be going to the World Cup.
yeah. So sometimes I'm baffled by this because I'm kind of thinking, are we the only country in rugby that continuously send the same guys out to battle all the time? Um, and I think like I see when England travel, they bring some of the experienced guys, but they generally do mix it up. When
They
when the
do.
French mix it up, the Welsh mix it up, um, but the Australians mix it up, the South Africans mix it up. But we seem to, we bring Johnny Sexton, we bring Connor Murray, we bring guys that have, what else have they to prove to the coach apart from, they've nothing else to prove. So
I
I'm
mean,
not sure what value
you're right.
is there.
I'm not picking out Johnny Sexton. What's the point in bringing him? And I'm not picking him out because it's him. What is the point?
Yeah,
What is
I don't
what
know.
is he looking? Is he looking to see an extra muscle in his knee or something? I don't know.
Yeah,
What's the point? Conor Murray is gone.
yeah, yeah.
I
And you
mean,
need
what's
to
the
be
point?
trying out the guys that,
What's the point in bringing Conor Murray on the tour?
I, 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 I don't know. I don't know. So like in my opinion, like you should be trying out guys at number 10, um, and getting them
Casey?
big match experience.
What's his name for Munster? Casey, is it?
But Casey at number 9, but
Yeah.
at number 10, like they have a couple of options there. They have Carberry, of course, from Munster. Then you have the guys from Leinster, the two brothers there, the Burns. You could try
Yeah.
either one of those at number 10 in a kind of a situation where it's a highly
True.
competitive game. In general, they seem to be only tried against the Mickey Mouse teams like the Italies and the Japans and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. But they're
Yeah.
never in the heat of battle unless it's the last 10 minutes of a match when Sexton's hauled off. So I'm not sure how these guys are ever going to be prepared, and it's the same old story that we've had played over and over again before every World Cup. where
And
we come to a World Cup and our big player gets injured, and
Bundiaki
we
is
look to the
going.
bench. Bundiaki's going, like, again, nothing to prove.
Keith Earls going?
Keith Earls, I'm not sure on Keith Earls. I don't know.
I still think he is a.
Yeah.
I still think he has a good half hour in him anyway.
Mm.
That's my opinion. But they should be building for next year. It's a bit too late now. So this is the summertime. I suppose the squad is more or less set in stone now for the World Cup. Or to
Yes.
probably the Vegas of a few positions. I think they know the squad already. For the World Cup. Look, we wish Ireland. I don't know how serious they'll be taking the matches against the All Blacks. I don't know how serious the All Blacks. I don't know what the value of these games are, except making money for each other. Other than that, I don't know what the value of it is rugby-wise, Martin.
And I just
Will they
actually
be?
reading there that one of the Irish players tested positive for COVID. So I'm not sure how that impacts things now. That Mac Hansen has tested positive for COVID, and so he's been isolated from the rest of the squad.
Oh yeah.
So that's just on the that's just been released there by Irish Rugby. So
They're
interesting to
playing.
see
Yeah, they're
what
playing the
that means.
Maori. The Maori is it the Maori All Blacks in Saturday morning?
Yes.
The Maori All Blacks at 8:05 a.m. Saturday morning. Now, lads, set your clocks, and I think they're on Network 2 RT or on television, as far as I know. They'll be on some other channels anyway as well. Just briefly to soccer, and we were speculating here in the program that Gareth Bale might go to Cardiff City, but he signed a one-year deal to go to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
So
and do you know who is teaming up with his teammate? The wonderful Italian fella, Cellini.
very good. Yeah.
Isn't it? I mean, they know each other well anyway. I was reading
Yeah.
that today.
Yeah. You couldn't make it up.
No, he's a character. Cellini. He's a
Yeah.
great character. I'd love to be playing with him. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Great attitude. But he's over there on LA, and so is Bale. And so Bale has a lot of friends. Apparently, the family has a lot of friends there as well. They've gone on holidays there a lot, so it makes sense. He gets another lucrative one-year deal. Eventually, he'd come back, I suppose. Anyway, we wish him well. Anyway, Wimbledon started today. I don't want to watch any of the tennis, Martin.
I didn't see it, Pat. No.
Yeah, Djokovic won his first match in 4 sets, 3 sets to 1. Now he's the all-time leader of matches won in Grand Slams. That was his 80th, 80, his 80th match in Grand Slams. Should never be surpassed except someone else's lifetime. Anyway, Raducanu won the Great British Hope, and we'll be looking forward to Serena Williams. I think she's playing tomorrow or Wednesday, or wild card. So there you go. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think Murray was actually playing there a while ago, so he was.
He lost the first set.
Oh. Yeah.
I think he lost the first set. As far as I know. Anyway, but you're off next Sunday for punishment to Dublin.
I'm off to Dublin for punishment, yeah, and hopefully the result is positive.
We want you to take copious notes. We want you to mark, to have a complete marking, man-to-man marking on the referee and all the officials as well when we talk to you.
We have a Waterford referee, yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Why would you have a Waterford referee with Galway and Limerick?
I'm not sure.
Go on. Yeah. Jesus.
So,
I don't know, really. Well, you couldn't have a Leinster referee, sure. Galway are in Leinster, so
yeah.
What can you do? Anyway, Martin, from Martin Morris and myself, Pat Barrett, we'll meet again, lads. Martin, it's been a blast, and thank you for your time. And we're looking forward to the report. Hopefully, to be glowing, and we want no hard luck stories. May the best team win,
and may both teams go down the tunnel in safety.
With their hurleys held high.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Take care. Thank you.
See you, Pat.
So we'll see you again next next Monday with a bit of luck.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Take care now.
All right. Bye.